What's up, YouTube, and welcome back to my channel. Thank you for clicking on this video today. Today's topic is gonna be pretty deep for me. Sorry I look like this. I've been doing better with how I come on camera, but I was actually just getting ready for bed, but I don't know, I just felt so compelled to make this video. I don't know why, but I did. I kind of dropped a bomb today. I posted a video about my current pregnancy and, how my experience has been from 0 to 18 weeks. And if you'd like to watch that video, I'll go ahead and leave that in the description box. In the beginning of that video, I kind of talk about how this isn't my first pregnancy, and that's not something that a lot of people know about me. It's not super uncommon, but a lot of people would not have expected that. And a lot of people just don't know, So it's something that I would like to talk about and address. My eyelash is like sticking to my bottom eyelash. It's kind of bothering me, but hopefully y'all don't notice. But yeah, so I kind of just wanted to talk about that and kind of express my feelings, tell my story, and explain that a little bit more. So just a background on, that entire situation. I had gotten pregnant. So where do I even start? So my junior year of college, 2017, I had gotten pregnant by my boyfriend at the time. And, usually I have birth control. Since I've been sexually active, I've been on birth control. So I kind of got in the habit of having unprotected sex because I knew I wasn't going to get pregnant. I was changing my birth control because I had the next one on at the time. And it wasn't really working for me. I had a lot of spotting, bleeding, all the time, and it was like it never went away. So the next one on didn't really work for me, and I had it in for about 2.5 years, going on 3 years that you can have the next one on in. So I had finally got it removed and just wanted to try a new birth control. So I was switching over from my next one on implant to the NuvaRing. And so I was in that window of waiting for my period in order to put my NuvaRing in. And in that process, it never really dawned on me, or I just didn't even consider the fact that I could get pregnant at the time, just because it was something that I was not used to. I've always been on birth control. Like I said, since I've been continuously having sex, I've been on birth control. So, just that habit of unprotected sex. And I had a boyfriend at the time. And so, we were just doing our thing. So I was waiting for my period to come so my NuvaRing, I could put it in. And I noticed that, my period was taking forever to come. And I was just like, I don't know why my period is taking so fucking long to come, but whatever, not paying it too much attention. So I ended up noticing okay, it's been really long for my period to come. And before I had irregular periods, so there was no monthly period, there was no sort of regularities there. So it wasn't anything that I was waiting for. I didn't know when it was going to come. I was just waiting for it to come whenever it came. And I was realizing it's taken a really long time to come. So I just was one day at the dollar store shopping, and I just picked up a pregnancy test. Honestly, not thinking nothing of it. I was like, let me just get this pregnancy test because my period still ain't here. Boop. Got the pregnancy test. And I was on the phone with my cousin, and I don't even know if that's the reason that I had called her, or if We were already on the phone. I don't recall. This is about 3 years ago. So I was on the phone with my cousin. I take the pregnancy test, not thinking too much of it. I take the pregnancy test, look at it, and sure enough, it says that I'm pregnant. And I just started bawling, crying, because it was such the wrong time. Like, it could not have been any worse timing for me, honestly. I had no idea that I was even close to becoming pregnant. Like, I wasn't thinking about it. I don't even know what really possessed me to take the test, but I was not expecting the results to be positive. So they were positive, and I cried and I cried and I cried, and I was just like, I have no idea what I'm gonna do. I had just got accepted into the University of Botswana, and that's where I studied abroad. And so it was just such the wrong time for me, and I just knew that that wasn't something that I was ready for. My junior year of college, I'm not ready. I haven't graduated yet. I just got accepted to study abroad, and now I'm pregnant. So like, my whole world was just like shattered at that moment. So, I mean, I tell my ex that I'm pregnant, and he's just like, oh my gosh, I'm ready to be a parent. Like, he was so excited, and I was just like, no, we can't do this. We can't do this, not now. I'm in college, it's my junior year. I'm so close to being done. I literally just got accepted to study abroad. That's a once in a lifetime chance, and I don't think that I'm willing to, let that go. And, we kind of talked back and forth about it, and he was not really in agreement with me wanting to terminate my pregnancy or not go through with it. So, a couple days go by, and, I'm thinking about it, and I never in my life imagined me having an abortion. I was always on birth control. For that reason, once I became sexually active, I made sure that I stayed on birth control, because I did not want to have an abortion ever. So once I was put in this predicament, I was just like, I know that is the route that I'm most likely going to take, because right now I'm not ready. And I don't know that I will be able to go through with the pregnancy and give my child up for adoption. So abortion was really the only option. And I feel like you never really consider abortion as an option for you until you get pregnant at the wrong time. And, you don't know until you're in that situation. But I told myself I would never get an abortion. And sure enough, I did, because I completely was not ready at the time. So, that's what I'm thinking, and I'm calling, Planned Parenthood, seeing what my options are and everything. And, my ex, he's like, I'm ready for a baby. I have him and a family member of his like telling me, we'll welcome you in the family, you should have the baby, blah, blah, blah. And I'm just like, I understand all that, but like, I am not ready. I have a once in a lifetime opportunity right in front of my face, and I don't know that I'm willing to turn that down. And so then, I contemplate a few more days and everything. And so I'm like, you know what? I know that I don't want to, I know that I'm not ready for a baby right now, but the only way for me not to have a baby is to get an abortion. And I don't know that I want to have an abortion right now either. So I talked to my ex, and I'm like, you know what? Maybe we can have a baby. What do you think? Like, how do we really make this happen? And like, do you think I would still be able to go to Africa if I'm pregnant? Just like kind of putting the bug in his ear. I'm just kind of like, putting the bug in his ear that maybe maybe we could, go through with the pregnancy. And as soon as I put the bug in his ear, it was like, no. He had completely changed his mind. He was like, I'm not ready for a baby right now. I can't afford a baby. I just bought a new car. I have this, that, and the third going on. And if you have a baby, you're on your own. And so I'm like, okay, all right. Well, I mean, I had my decision made in the beginning, but you know, I started thinking about what it could be. And then he totally was just like, he flipped his mind as well. And he totally was just like, you know, if you do that, you're on your own. I don't know that I will support you because, you know, I got my own shit that I need to fund right now. And I don't know that you and your baby are in the funds. I mean, he didn't say that specifically, but that's pretty much what he was saying to me. And so, I mean, that kind of made my decision at that time. I mean, I was only reconsidering because of him, because of the fact that I didn't want to do it at all, period. I didn't want to have an abortion, but, you know, I had opportunities in front of me. And then you tell me that you're going to leave me on my own. I don't want to be a single parent. So, you know, at that point, it was just like, okay, well, abortion is the only option. And as hard as it was, I knew that that's what I had to do. So, you know, coming up to the days of the abortion, like, I'm so emotional and I'm so distraught. Like, I'm not talking to anybody. I completely separated myself from the world from the moment that I got pregnant until like months after. It was really hard. So making the decision was hard enough, but then actually going through it was even more hard. So, you know, I am in Flagstaff, Arizona at the time, in college. I'm pretty much by myself. Like, you know, I have acquaintances, but no one that's really there for me that I feel like I could talk to about this. No one that's gonna sit with me and, you know, be there. So, the day of my abortion comes. My boyfriend drives from 2 hours away and comes and he goes with me. I take the pill for him. I found out that I was pregnant at, geez, I don't remember anymore. I think I was 4 weeks. Five weeks. I think I was 5 weeks. I think I was 5 weeks when I found out. I knew this by heart. I used to, but I kind of just like try to forget about it. So like I don't remember the exact details anymore, but I think I was about 5 weeks, 5.5 weeks when I found out. And so I was able to take the pill and, yeah, I didn't do the surgical procedure. So I went in and I was taking the pill, but I just couldn't, I don't know, I couldn't take it by myself. Although it was taking a pill, it was still like, I don't want to do this alone. So like I made sure that my boyfriend at the time was with me and like he was there through the whole thing, but I feel like he totally wasn't emotionally there with me. Like I was so emotional, crying the entire time as the pill is going down my throat, as I realized like what I'm doing. And he's just kind of there and, you know, telling me to stop crying and whatnot. And it's just like, you know, it's so easy for you to say stop crying, but like you're not the one going through this. Like you didn't just take a pill to stop growth within your womb. Like that's just some shit that is not okay and it can be very, very emotional. And he just wasn't emotionally supportive, I feel like. So he was there for that, and then he drove back home and I was there by myself to go through the hard part. Having a pill abortion was, I want to say that it was probably worse than a surgical abortion, because I was I didn't think I was gonna do this. I was there and I was home in my dorm room, or I had an apartment at the time. I was in my apartment room and just waiting to expel this embryo from my body. And pretty much that's what you do. You take one pill and then you take a couple more pills when you get home. And, you know, they just tell you that you're going to pretty much experience a heavy, painful, like, period. And that's exactly what it was. But it was so much more than that for me. It was really, 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 really hard. And it was so painful. And I just felt alone. And, like, I just, like, you know, watching all of this blood come from my body. It was so much blood. It was so much blood. Like, it was getting everywhere. At one point, I had blood, like, running down my leg. Like, my pads were so full. And it's just, like, these huge blood clots. And just, like, the feeling of knowing that, like, there was, like, a little body in those blood clots, like, that's just something that's super hard to, you know, deal with. And even, like, think about, like, just to think back on it and how I felt at the time. Like, I just felt like such a terrible person. I felt like my world was ending. I felt like I just felt like I was alone in this huge world. And I don't know, man. It's just like a pain and a feeling that you cannot explain. And especially when you are going through it alone and you're watching your abortion happen at home. So if you do have an abortion or you are, you know, going through that, I would recommend, like, although it's a little bit more expensive, I would recommend going through the surgical way. So that way, you know, it's over and done with. And by the time you go home, everything is done and you don't really have to, you know, deal with expelling the pregnancy yourself. And, you know, going through all of the blood and all of the emotions. And it was really painful. It was really painful. Physically painful as well. Like, they tell you that you're gonna have these like pains, and they're gonna feel like pretty much like contractions, because like your uterus is opening and pushing things out, your cervix actually, which is fucking painful. Your cervix is opening and like pushing this baby out. And at one point I called the hotline that they gave me, and you know, I felt like I was gonna die because I was in so much pain, and there was nobody there. Like, don't get me wrong, I had like emotional support through like my mom. She was there for me, and I'm so grateful for her. She was one of the only people to know, and you know, to know each step of the way. And you know, she was there for me as much as she could be, but I still was like pushing her away. I pushed everybody away, but no one was physically there for me. And I feel like that was the hardest part of it all. Nobody was physically there, and I was in my room feeling like I'm gonna die, in fetal position, literally killing a baby. That's how I felt. And that was the most shittiest feeling I've ever felt in my life. And I promised myself that, you know, if I go through with this abortion and I, you know, terminate my pregnancy at the time, I promise to have a kid. Like, I just asked God, like, please, 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 just please forgive me for doing this and give me this opportunity again. If you give it to me again, I will do with it what I'm supposed to, and I will, you know, be the mom that I know that I can be when I'm ready. And that was a promise that I made to myself. And I mean, at the time I told myself, like, you know, I want to recreate this baby. So like, I will even have the baby with my ex again. Like, I just can't do it right now. But if you just get me through this, study abroad, once I get back, I'll have a baby. Like, that's what I told myself. Obviously it didn't turn out like that, not quite like that, because here I am 3 years later. But those are the types of promises that I made to myself, just because like that's something so hard to go through and commit to. And when you just feel like you have no one, it's such a shitty feeling. It's such a shitty feeling. Like, I don't think anybody just wakes up and wants to have an abortion. So, like, me telling you all of this, I'm not embarrassed. I do feel bad, but I'm not, I don't know how to explain what I'm trying to say. Like, no one just wants to do this. So I know that I had to do this for no one just wants to have an abortion. I told myself that I would never have one. But again, you don't know what you will do until you're in that position. And the position that I was in was totally not right to have a kid at the time. Like, it wasn't. And so that is what I did. And once it was all said and done, it was something that I regretted. At the end of the day, I felt like maybe I could have gone to Africa still pregnant, you know? Maybe I could have kept it a secret. I feel like there was maybe ways to get around it, or I don't know. I regretted it for a really long time. And like I said, I wanted to have a baby as soon as I got back because I felt so bad and it wasn't happening for me. So I just thought like maybe I had like messed up my reproductive system. Maybe I couldn't have kids. And I feel like that was a part of the reason why I kind of was having reckless sex. Like, no, I wasn't just sleeping with anybody. So like if I were to bear a child by someone, it was someone that I was willing to do it with. But I was like, you know, not protecting myself just because I wanted to have a baby when it was time for me to have one. And I mean, I guess I did that because all the unprotected sex that I had, I didn't get pregnant until now. And I'm just really grateful that I have the opportunity again because I didn't think that I would. I really thought that I like fucked up me and my body. So yeah, I'm grateful that I am able to get pregnant again, but an abortion is it's really something super, super tough to go through. And for anybody that is considering, like, I would really, you know, consider all your options and make sure that this is something that you really want to do. Make sure that it's something that is really your last resort. Something that you can mentally and physically go through, and something that you have support in, because it was really hard with the minimal support that I have. And I know that it's not something that everybody wants to talk about. It's really quite embarrassing, you know, for most people. I'm not embarrassed now to speak about it because I feel like there are so many people who go through this. And, you know, some people can do it and be fine with it, don't give a fuck. They're very careless about it, but you know, that's totally not where I stand with it. Like, I love kids. I love the thought of being a mom, a nurturer, and for me to have to do that, it was the worst thing in my life. So, you know, I would just say for anyone in that same position to you know, really just consider what you're doing and the emotional toll that it'll take on you in the future. But, you know, don't be, I don't know, I don't want to say don't be scared to do it, because, I mean, if you have to do it, if that's your option at the time, then by any means, you know, do what you have to do, because I would rather you terminate a pregnancy than be an unfit parent, you know? I feel like that's a better route. And adoption is not always just so reasonable or easy. Like, no one wants to go through an entire pregnancy and have to answer those questions and, you know, bear a child and go through doctor's appointments just to give their baby away. And, you know, have to explain that to people. So, you know, abortion is a lot of people's option. And it's a really tough one. So I applaud, you know, anyone who has been able to make the decision and make it with a full heart, or I don't even know what I'm trying to say, but I don't know. It's just like, it's something that it's like, I don't know, I'm kind of lost for words right now. Like, family planning is great, and I'm grateful that that was an option at the time, but it was a really tough option. So, like, be careful. Just use condoms if you're not ready to have a kid, or be on birth control. Make sure that you're always on birth control, keeping up with your birth control, keeping track of your birth control. I mean, that was really good for so long that I just let it slip through my fingers. And that one slip up, it took me like literally a month to get pregnant. A month that I wasn't on birth control, and I was pregnant within that month. So, you know, it can happen to you too. So yeah, I would just say, if you can, by any means, avoid having to make the decision. And if you have to make the decision, make it the best way you can. And if you have already made that decision and you've gone through my experience, whether you've had a surgical or a pill abortion, either one, they're both really tough things to go through. And, you know, I hope that you are doing well physically, mentally, etc., because I know that it took me a really long time to heal from that. A really long time. Like, fairly recent, and this happened, it happened on April 10th, 2017. And I remember the date because it was actually my ex's birthday, which is, it was really shitty also. That I had an abortion on his birth date. It was such a fucking contradiction, so ironic. But yeah, it was just something that I had to do at the time. And I just wanted to share my story, and I don't know, hope that someone can relate, that I can maybe prevent someone else from having to make the decision that I had to make, or comfort those who have already made the decision and, you know, do not know how to live with it. You forgive yourself at some point. You do, because you know that it wasn't right for you. Otherwise, it would have happened. And today, I actually seen that ex just had a baby. Today I seen that on Instagram, that he had a baby, and I'm pregnant right now, and we're in totally different relationships. So we are both, you know, able to bear children, or have children, and, you know, it just wasn't right for us to make that child at the time. And, you know, it's just something that I have learned to be okay with. And yeah, it's just really tough, but you'll survive it. At least the strong will. So yeah, that really like sums up and completes my video and my story. Sorry I kind of got like emotional, but you know, it's an emotional topic. And I mean, sorry it's so sad and not like my normal upbeat videos, but I just really felt compelled to make this video because, you know, I am pregnant right now, and I'm enjoying my pregnancy and, you know, going through the motions of the pregnancy. But no, it's not my first one, and no, it's not the only option when you do get pregnant. So I've been on both sides now, and I feel like I can, you know, tell my story for both. So I really hope that this video helped you all or someone. I'm just so lost right now. I just like, oh gosh. Yeah, so I just hope that this video helped someone, and if it didn't, you know, it feels better for me to get things off of my chest and out and open. I don't know what it is about me and YouTube, but like, I don't mind putting myself out there in such a manner. I don't mind, you know, exposing my personal business that, you know, most people won't talk about, because I know that there are other people out there that have gone through what I've gone through, or will go through what I have gone through. And I just know what it feels like to be alone. And I don't want anybody to feel like that. So if I could prevent that in any way, I am more than willing to air out all my dirty laundry just to let someone else know that they are not alone and we could do our dirty laundry together. Because, you know, that's how life is. Unfortunately, you know, we're faced with these decisions that we have to make behind closed doors. And, you know, they're not always the best ones or the easiest ones. But a lot of us do make them. So I just want to comfort those who need it, and you know, just tell a story that, or tell a little bit of my story that a lot of people didn't know. So I do want to just wrap up this video because I know it's probably kind of long, and I don't have anything else to say. So I don't even feel right. Like, share, subscribe, catch you in the next video. But I mean, yeah, all that jazz. But I will see you all in my next video, and I promise it won't be so sad. But thank you for listening if you got this far in the video. I really appreciate it. Thank you for watching. Thank you for clicking on it. I'll see you all very, very soon.